Hey, Mansfield today. Nice to have you with us. And this is where we start having fun on Sundays. And we're joined by our freelance tech and gaming journalist, WizKid and Zonke something, actually. He's Nick Cowan. You're involved with everything when it comes to games and all the rest of that sort of stuff. And you dig into them and play them all. Tell us about this latest one that you raised now called Lost Judgment.
Okay, so Lost Judgment is a game that's made by a Japanese studio for Sega. And what it is a detective story. Essentially, players take on the role of a detective who's working out of the fictional neighborhood of, I can't remember the pronunciation, but it's basically Roppongi in Tokyo. His name's Takayuki Yagama, but just to save on time, I'm going to refer to him as Tak from now on. He and his associate, who's an ex-Yakuza called Kaito, get a call from a couple of friends who have set up a detective agency in Yokohama, and so they head on down there to see what's going on. They find out that their friends are investigating an epidemic of bullying at the local school. Now, this kind of sounds a bit pedestrian, but the game actually opens up with a pair of firefighters making a startling discovery in a warehouse in Yokohama of a body that's been chained to a chair and left there to rot for several days. At the same time, tax colleagues at a law firm back in Tokyo are defending a man who groped a woman on a train and who's facing serious jail time. But over time, they find out that the body in the warehouse, the bullying epidemic, and the guy who groped a woman on a train are all connected. And it's up to the player to use Tak and Kaito to essentially work out the clues, make the connections, and solve the crime.
So, but I mean, is being a detective all you really do in Lost Judgment?
No. I mean, that's the thread through which the narrative runs. But I mean, you know, being a Sega game and also being a Lost Judgment game, it's a fantastic kind of tour through Japanese culture. Not only do you do detecting, you do following missions. There's lots of kung fu fighting. Lots of kung fu fighting. Everybody's kung fu fighting. And
should I get a song out of that, Nick?
Indeed, you know, born a little too late.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, while you're solving these crimes, there are tons and tons of side missions. You can go to the batting cages and hit a few baseballs if you want. There are dart mini games. You can actually walk into video arcades and play classic versions of Sega's old arcade games back in the day. It drops you right into the middle of what feels and looks like Japan. And it kind of like takes you through an experience that you won't find in any other game just because it's so linked to Japanese culture.
To me, it's starting to sound a little bit like a tourist simulator. Would that be fair?
There's an element of that, yeah. I mean, if you've never been to Japan, this is probably the closest you'll get. You know, and everything is note perfect, from the neon encrusted neighborhoods to, you know, the structures of bars or restaurants when you wander into them, to the culture that is put across. Like, for example, one of the antagonists you deal with is an old street gang who are ex-Yakuza members, but they've decided to throw away all the tradition of the Yakuza and just operate how they like. Whereas the Yakuza have a very rigid structure, and they kind of have their own set of rules. And, you know, the great part about it is that, you know, you follow this character Tak throughout the entire game. And he's kind of like one half detective. No, I'd say one half. One third detective, one third kung fu fighter, and one third tour guide. It's a really, really great experience. And, you know, if you want something that's off the beaten path, if you're tired of shooters, or if you're tired of the likes of, you know, the big AAA games, I would certainly pick this up, because you won't play another game like it all year.
And as you say, if you've never been to Japan and want to experience a little bit of it, a great way to do it as well. I'm sure what the Japanese authorities would love is for people to play that game and go, I actually want to go there myself. I'm sure the Japanese Tourist Authority would love that. Nick Cowan, thank you very much for joining us once again. We look forward to chatting to you again next Sunday, mate. Cheers.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Cheers. Nick Cowan, freelance techno and gaming specialist, right here on Mansfield Today. Nice to have had you with us as well. We'll catch you next time around. Bye-bye.